decided to start 2026 with a little bit of history. This is a 1909 pamphlet called Le greffage à l'établissement de viticulture. So grafting when starting a vineyard. And this is written by Raoul Chandon de Briale, who was from Maison Moët Chandon. And Moët Chandon and the Fort Chabrol institution in Epernay was really critical to Champagne's fight against phylloxera in the first decade of the 20th century and the last decade of the 19th century, because Champagne faced a very different challenge to the rest of France. Phylloxera, louse that devastated Europe's vineyards, was very late to arrive in Champagne. It didn't really arrive in the north until 1891, which is, bearing in mind it was 1863 it was first spotted in further south. And the Champenois had been quite optimistic that they wouldn't actually get it, that it would be too cold and too wet and the louse wouldn't thrive. When it did arrive, it created a real problem because the solutions that had been found by grafting European grapevines onto Native American rootstocks based on Native American vines that were resistant to phylloxera, wouldn't work in Champagne because those Native American roots couldn't handle the chalky soils. So quickly it became apparent that a solution needed to be found for Champagne and actually for Cognac as well, which had a similar situation. And the French were sent over to America to try and find a Native American species that could handle the Champagne soils. And very luckily, they met a man called TJ Munson, who is a bit of a legend in American native grapevines. And in Texas, he was aware of a native vine called Vitis Bellandieri, which was just discovered in the 1830s, I think. And this vine grew in chalky hills in Texas. So that's where the thought process began. And those Bellandieri vines were sent over to France, where they discovered they couldn't propagate them normally, and they had to then cross Bellandieri to produce a rootstock that they could propagate by cutting. So it's a lengthy, complex process, but they managed to, by 1894, two botanists called Millardet and Grasset in Bordeaux managed to produce a rootstock called 41B. And 41B today there's 80,000 hectares of French vineyard on 41B. It absolutely saved Champagne and Cognac too. Without it, or even had it been delayed a few years when you think about it, and the spread of phylloxera through the 1890s and the 1900s in Champagne, it could have been utterly catastrophic, really taken out the whole vineyard for some considerable time. And then, so the second part of my article I'm just about to put up is on the work at Fort Chabrol. But part one is up now and you can go read it.